Welcome back to Biz Talk, everyone. I am your host today, Rachel Weaver, and I have a very special guest with me today, David Aaronson. David has been a successful commercial mortgage banker for over 40 years. During this time, he has arranged debt and equity capital for commercial real estate investors and developers throughout the U.S. Thanks to his many years of structuring real estate transactions, he is accurately aware of the opportunity for property owners to capitalize on opportunity. David, it is such a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
I am excited to talk to you today about deployment strategies.
Yes.
So I think it's something that a lot of people don't talk a lot about, but it's really important and critical for people to understand, especially in in my personal opinion, in the beginning of investing. So what deployment strategies are effective for accommodating the varying charging needs of residents in family complexes and condominiums?
So that's a great question, Rachel, and we get it all the time. A couple baseline thoughts. First off, very few, and it's probably less than 1% of the multifamily properties in this country ever, or have enough electricity available to host EV charging stations in the number that will eventually be needed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, this transition's just at the beginning, but if you're building a property today, over the next 40 to 50 years, that useful property's life cycle, you're going to have more EVs parked in the parking lot than you will gas cars. Okay. But if you keep in mind that 99% of our apartment stock, our multifamily stock, is existing, they literally, every one of these properties have issues because they don't have enough electricity to put up more than 2 or 4 charging stations. Maybe they could put up more, but it's not enough to meet the eventual demand that they're going to have at those properties.
So just for context for all the listeners, we are talking about charging stations, the charging stations for electric vehicles, such as the Tesla. And that is such an important thing to understand, especially when thinking about building a home, if you will, and making sure that you can add that in. But in the meantime, I think, I think you're spot on in talking about the fact that especially as new cars are being made and developed electronically, we soon will not have enough electricity in our home, or currently none of the homes have enough electricity. So how do you balance the installation of shared or dedicated charging stations to maximize user convenience?
So in a multifamily property, we're limited by the amount of electricity that we have.
Mm-hmm.
We usually can find enough electricity to put up a few charging ports, 2 to 4 charging ports. Now, one charging port can handle 7 or 8 residents who drive electric vehicles every month. Okay, it's no different than going to a gas station. You go to a gas station, depending on how much you drive, and you may go once a week, you may go once a month, you might go once every couple days. EVs are the same; they just use electricity. So if you run your battery down just like you run your gas tank down to a quarter of a tank before you look for a refill, then you'll use that charging station if it's available, 4 or 5 times a month. It just depends on your driving habits. But we generally will put up uh, 2 to 4 charging ports in apartments in multifamily properties, because number one, that's all we have available for electricity. But number two, they don't have that many cars there yet that are driving, residents that are driving EVs. So we don't put up more charging stations than the demand for the use of those charging stations would dictate. We see a lot of people making a mistake by putting up too many charging stations day one to ever make any money and make any return on their investment. And in addition, they're incurring operating expenses when they put these charging stations up. So we're in the business of making a revenue stream out of refueling apartment residents' EVs. And in order to do that, you need to balance the supply with the demand.
Mm-hmm. Very, very interesting. So can you tell us, are there innovative deployment models that have been proven successful in similar settings?
Well, we have look, we think that an EV charging station is no different than a washer and a dryer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In the new apartments they're building today, everyone has washer and dryers, but in years past, they would have laundromats in these apartment properties. And the owner of the apartment property would lease out a room where a third party would come in and put the washers and dryers, and they would operate those washer and dryers. The charging stations are exactly the same way. So most property management companies and owners don't have enough time and enough knowledge to understand what it takes to manage them and get them up and running and maintained and priced properly. And so we believe that's what we bring to the table, is that knowledge.
I love that. So outside of homes and residences and complexes, in terms of investing in these AV charging stations, where else would you say it's accessible for someone? Maybe an investor comes in and says, I think this is a smart business move. Can I buy 10 of them from you?
Well, so there are companies that are out there, there's a lot of people out there looking to put up EV chargers and sell them and make a commission and a fee and and all that, kind of like the Amazon model, so to speak. You go find someone that's making something, put it on Amazon and sell it for more. Unfortunately, there's a lot that goes into putting up an EV charging station. It's not just something you can walk by a property and stick a sticker on and say, I've got EV charging. You have to get a building permit. You have to satisfy ADA requirements. You have to have an electrician who knows what they're doing. You have to put the conduit in, which means digging a run with the in the property, and you want to make sure that you're not damaging the property. And so there's a lot that goes on to it. For an individual investor, I'm not going to say it's impossible to put one and one together to go find somebody who wants to put these up, but it's not only when it's up, it's what happens after it's up. That's the thing.
Yes, I love that. And I love that you bring context and intelligence to it, because a lot of people, I think, are seeing that out there where they're like, invest in these because we're going to need them. Now's the time. But it's not so simple. It is not so simple. Just like you bring up the fact that we don't even have enough electricity in most areas for these types of things. So I appreciate you being very straightforward and candid about, no, it's not so simple. That's why people should really look to experts for these types of things.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Experts whose interests are aligned with the buyers, the consumers, with their clients, not investors or people who have their interests aligned with their capital provider.
Right. Very, very good. Really appreciate all this knowledge and expertise, because it is really something that we in this country, for sure, in particular, need to be thinking about as laws change and more electric cars come out. We need to be starting to think about and prepare for this because, obviously, a lot of people who are in the market for new cars now, why would they not want to, especially with the gas prices, what they are today? So it definitely makes sense, and we always appreciate your knowledge and value. So thank you for being with us today. Where can the audience find you?
The easiest way is to find us on the internet, www.refuel, REFUEL,
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, David, and we look forward to having you again on the show very soon. And with that, we will be right back after this commercial break.